What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rock and Roll Gypsy Diaries. I'm your host, the Rock and Roll Gypsy, Andy Thunders, and with me is the Rock and Roll Nurse. And as well, our special guest today is Daryl Millar, drummer of the Killer Dwarves, legendary band for those in the know. And we're about to find out more about them if you're not in the know. And he has a book out, Thunderfoot. How are you, man?
Good. How are you two?
I am fantastic.
The rock and roll nurse and Andy. How are you
Yep.
guys and girls today? Good?
Can't complain.
We are good.
All right. All right. Excellent. Everybody's alive and well. We've all made it through this pandemic horse shit so far, right?
Yeah,
We have too here in Toronto, Canada. That's where I live.
that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your weather like up there? Because I'm not too far from you, up near Buffalo here in New York.
Okay. Then we have the same weather as you, and you're
Okay.
you're probably hating that right now because what I'm
I'm
finding
waiting
is
for actual spring to hit. We just had snow the
eh,
other night.
and we had that same system. We get the same thing you do. I mean, I'm really sick of April, man. April has sucked. It's cold as hell. It's zero
Right?
degrees Celsius here right now. It's
Yeah,
still
and
cold.
for those in Fahrenheit, it's like it
Yeah,
got up to a whole whopping 48 degrees Fahrenheit here today.
right. I know. We're all like just complaining about it here. Well, it's not warming up. It's taken forever to warm up. I don't remember April always like winter, and that's what's happening right now.
Right?
So right, it's like a winter April. It's not
It's
spring.
crazy.
Yeah, I know. We the same weather, bro. We're both hating it, I take it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell me about a little bit about the book and what made you decide to put the book out and what kind of thought process went into writing it.
Okay, well, to get to this book, I wrote another book. So there's two books here involved that I wrote. The first book is called Guardian of a Timekeeper, and I put that book out 4 years ago when my dad passed away. So it's kind of a weird journey to get to Thunderfoot. My dad was 92 years old. He lived a great life. He was a World War II vet and piano player, jazz piano player.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, he's quite the guy. And he bought me my first drum kit when I was 7 years old, and he got me into music. And so when he passed away, I was kind of in a bit of a grieving process. Although, he lived a great life, so it was a bit of a celebration at the same time. But you never want
Okay.
to lose a parent. You
Oh
never want to
yeah,
lose a parent,
naturally.
no matter what. So I started writing down memoirs about my dad. That's all. That's all how it started. I was only doing it for myself to remember my dad, and I was writing things down and laughing and crying and kind of going through the whole thing. And that turned into a book because the stories. My dad saved my life twice, so the damn book turned into these 10 chapters of Final Destination of 10 near death experiences that I had. And that's
Damn.
what I know over my whole life, 10 serious near death experiences over touring and all these things, car accidents, all kinds of stuff. So Guardian of a Timekeeper is about that. It's not so much about rock and roll. And I didn't think I was going to really get into a biography book till I was a lot older, but it turned out, because I'm not finished yet, but it turned out that the writing process and the company I was working with in Montreal, they said, dude, you're a great author, a great writer, and you should keep going. Don't stop because you're really hot right now. And they said you should keep going. So Guardian of the Timekeeper led into the history of my life, which is 50 years of rock and roll. I've been touring for 50 years of my life. So uh, that's how Thunderfoot happened. And the reason it's in volumes is because I'm not finished yet, like I said. So there's probably going
Yeah.
to be 3 volumes, and the Killer Dwarfs are still touring right now. So the
Oh
first volume
nice.
goes up to 1989. Goes from my
Nice.
beginnings in the 70s in high school, in my high school band, up to 1989 and stops there. So that's where we're at.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, I guess then I guess what would be towards the end of the book. What was going on in 89 where the book ends?
It's pretty cool. We were in LA recording Dirty Weapons with Andy Johns, the famed
Nice.
producer that we were talking about off air. Yeah. And the drum tracks were such a big deal for me on that record, and working with him, and he worked with John Bonham, and
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, like worked with
As a
Zeppelin and
drummer, if
this.
you work with a guy who works with bottom, you gotta be, yeah.
And it was a tad intimidating too, because he's a very heavy dude with drummers. He's actually fired drummers in the past for not being up to his snuff or whatever. I know, so I was a little bit like freaked out when we first went in to work with him. But he well, yeah, right, you know. But he turned out to be such a great guy, and lucky for me, you know, he loved my drumming, and he loved my personality. We got along good, and he ended up doing 2 records for us. Yeah, it is a good thing. And so, yeah, that last chapter is the ride that I had recording the drums with him, and what I learned so much from him at Sunset Sound in Hollywood, where we tracked that record.
Yeah. And I mean, just from talking to you, you seem like a pretty easygoing guy, where in a producer situation, you'd be able to take some kind of direction or try something at a suggestion and not be all like, what do you mean? I'm the drummer.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing like that around Andy Johns. It's everything is so pro with him, right? There's no like, hey, I don't like that idea and I'm rebelling against the guy. I was never put in a situation like that. He had suggestions on different things. His big thing is getting drum sounds. And I was hands off with that. I allowed Andy to do whatever he wanted to do with my drum kit. When it came to tuning, even when it came to mic placement, all that was all him. I was just the player.
With someone on that pedigree, I'd imagine you're like, he worked with Bonham. I'm just going to let him do what he needs to do.
Yeah. Well, why would I? He's the producer. I wouldn't contest any producer I worked with when it comes to mic placements and all that. I mean, that's their world, not mine.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the musician. I go in and play the tracks, and they get me set up to sound great. And that's what Andy certainly did. And some of the best drum sounds that I've ever recorded are on those records. So,
how many records in were you guys at that point by '89?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3. We were 4 records in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were pretty deep into it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was our second. It was our second album with Epic Records, though, with the big worldwide deal. Yeah, we had two indie deals before the major worldwide deal.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so that's how that rolled. So we used a producer from England that worked with Marillion and bands like that. His name was Simon Hanhart. He produced our debut with Epic. Big Deal, it was called. He produced that.
Yeah.
And then Andy recorded the next 2, which was Dirty Weapons and Method of the Madness. And then the big grunge era hit and our deal was over. And then we all went away for a little while from rock and roll. Right?
And I just wanted everybody did. And I always say this because I know a lot of the guys who were part of that scene, and they don't even know why their scene was so hyper focused on. And, you know, it wasn't the bands that were against you guys or whatever. It was literally the record companies and the way they are. They pretty much milked everything they could from the hair metal thing. So they had to milk the next thing.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and rock and roll's gone that way forever. It goes in decades.
Iggy Pop talks about it in Detroit in the late 60s when they got signed and the MC5 got signed. It was the same thing.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's nothing new. And I mean, I have no malice against grunge rock in any way. I mean, if anything, it was probably a necessary era to come along, because
it seemed to be a little bit like the punk movement, something that kind of had to happen in a way to...
Well, it did, because I find that like the metal of 80s metal, the tail end of it was getting so watered down and so many bands were signed. Too many bands got signed, some not that good.
Yeah, we're not going to mention names, but you can easily go and find them who were...
No, it just became a commercial packaging machine, right?
First you have the really heavy song, then you have the power ballad.
You got it. I mean, the formula was just too obvious after a while. And I think grunge rock kind of saved it, you know. And then there's some bands that came out of that I ended up loving, like that weren't so much the Kurt Cobain side of it, more like the Alice in Chains. You know,
And
like
Kurt
Alice in
Cobain
Chains.
didn't even understand why they were so popular. He had people like the
Yeah,
Screaming Trees, who he was big fans of and loved. You know,
right. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Soundgarden and Alice in Chains are really favorite bands of mine around that time. They were dark, but they were
Soundgarden was a lot like Zeppelin to me.
and Sabbath.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
they were dark like that and heavy. Like they were amazing. Chris Cornell was such a tragedy that he
And
passed
if you
away. He
notice,
was
the
so
three
fantastic.
bands that the four bands we mentioned don't sound anything alike. So the idea that there's hair metal, that even ticks my wife off because she does hair. She's like, what does hair have to do with music?
Yeah. Oh, so does my wife. My wife's in the hair industry.
Nice.
Yeah. We have a salon here in Toronto, and she's also does hair and film in the movie
That's cool.
industry up here. Yeah. So we got something in common with our women.
Yeah. Works out when
She
you're in
takes
rock
care
and
of this
roll.
mop. Look, I got
Yeah,
an
she takes
in-house
care of mine
hairstylist.
too.
Yeah, it's all good there, man. We're lucky that way.
Oh yeah. We're not
Yeah.
using harsh products in our hair.
You got it.
So, and then to backtrack a little bit, what was it like in the beginning of the book? If you can give a kind of little description for people, what life was like towards, I guess, 77, you said.
Yeah, well, out of high school, right? I graduated in 78 and I lived in Oshawa, Ontario. And that's where the Killer Dwarfs started because I met Russ. I was in another band and he was in another band and we were on club tours and we met in Quebec City in Quebec here. And we basically formed the Killer Dwarfs out of the two bands we were in. He brought his bass player and I brought my guitar player and that became Killer Dwarfs in 1980, 81. So
That
we
far
put that
back.
band together.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not young guys anymore. I hate to admit, but we're the real deal. We had our 40th anniversary is this year, so all these shows we will be playing upcoming right now are our 40th anniversary shows, and we're gonna
Are
play
there
one
any
in
shows
Oshawa.
near me coming up by chance, or can't you say yet?
I can't say it, but probably two shows near you. If you're in Buffalo, yeah,
Yeah, I'm near
very,
Buffalo.
very, yeah, very, very close. They're maybe in Buffalo and on the Ontario side. So yeah, you'll know.
Hey,
I'll let you
awesome.
know. Yeah,
Absolutely.
summer stuff, summer festival stuff, and all that. It's all coming out.
Nice.
So yeah, that's sort of how it all started. And you know, we were like a big club band on the circuit back in 81, 82. Playing up here in Canada was very rich in bars. There was so many clubs. Like Toronto's a big city. You could work in Toronto for a whole month and play different clubs and make a living up here back then. It was
Wow, that's
amazing.
crazy.
Yeah,
Is
it
it
was so
still
different.
sort of like that, or is it different now?
No, it's different now. There's way less clubs and there's no like we used to play clubs 3 nights in a row and stuff. There's none of that anymore. You know,
Oh wow.
we'd actually play Thursday, Friday, Saturdays in the west end of Toronto. And then we'd play a Monday, Tuesday in the east end, have one day off, and then go to another area in Toronto the next week and play again, start all over
Wow.
again. And they're all spread out. The clubs were all spread out. And like I said, you could actually do a run of a month of shows and not get watered down here. There was so many
Just in
people that went to
Toronto, that's not mentioning other
just
areas of the country.
right, just in this
Holy
city.
crap.
And that's dude, we made a great living and played all the time. That was the difference. And that's why
Yeah, that
things
sounds
are
like heaven to me.
it is heaven, and it's that's why I feel really bad for the kids today. And what I was worried about rock and roll, that how would a kid cut his chops and figure it out without being able to play live? Like
It
live
seems
is was
like
our
nowadays
school.
the best thing to do is to make your own home recordings until you do something worth a shit to release yourself almost.
Well, yeah, it's all gone internet now, right? Internet's allowed some good things. People get
Yeah,
discovered
there's
on the internet all the time,
like
but
anything, it's a double-edged sword because yes, you can create
yeah.
as much as you want on your own terms, but you've got so much more competition because everybody else with, a half decent music talent is giving it a stab. You got more competition.
Yeah.
But I mean,
millions now of people, millions. Yeah.
maybe yet the punk rocker in me is like, yeah, do it yourself. You don't need a label now anymore. You could just record it on your computer and upload it the next day if you mix it good and quick, you know.
Well, it is true. That's basically what's happening right now. A lot of artists don't need the label, you know.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
think
just
the
so
record
different.
companies need to learn to adapt with the modern way of things going in a way, but I don't know how they would do that.
Well, we're kind of witnessing it now, right? It's kind of the Wild West. Things
They
are
need to
unfolding.
figure out their business model real quick.
Oh, because it's just so. The only reason I brought that up is just trying to compare 1981 to now. There is no comparison. You can't compare it. The only thing the same is you can go to a concert hall and see Kiss still.
Yeah.
Or go to a big venue. That's the only thing that's still the same, man. Or you can still see Alice Cooper, which is incredible, and go to a concert hall and see Alice Cooper.
I'm still bummed because I was gonna try to see Alice with Ace on that tour they were doing, but the tickets were too much. I couldn't swing it at the time.
No wonder, man. The whole COVID thing's been kind of rough on everyone.
Oh yeah, I have no quarrels. I mean, I've never seen Alice, and I only seen Ace with Kiss in 2000 when I was 10. So it would have been cool to see him again.
Well, you still can, because he's going to tour again. He's touring a lot this year, Alice Cooper. We just played with Alice on the Monsters of Rock cruise. He was just there. He's just so amazing. He's still incredible. And so you will get another chance to see him. He's doing tours.
He's on my list. I actually did the Ancestry thing. And if I ever meet him, I'm going to show him. I have a 12th great grandmother from Bedfordshire, England, who was named Alice Cooper.
No way. Really? Yes. Holy crap.
I also found out I'm related to Rhys ap Thomas, who was a Welshman who killed King Richard III in the War of the Roses.
Wow, isn't that neat? The ancestry thing. I know.
It's wild, really crazy. Because I knew I'd have European, but I didn't think I'd have any historical figures in my direct family tree.
Well, that apparently that's just, it is crazy. I know some sides of my family have dug into some of our past, and they've contacted me lately, and I don't even know who they are. They're from my mother's side, and they've contacted me. Go, I'm your relative.
That's kind of weird.
Are you? Oh yeah. Well, that's weird.
My sister, who I never met until I got on Ancestry, reached out to me, but we had been trying to find each other for quite a few years, so that wasn't too weird. But just getting a cold call, I'm your aunt. I've never met you.
Well, no, and they contact me on Facebook of all things. They found me on Facebook and messengered me and said they were from my mother's side of the family. And my mom's in long-term care now, and she's like 92 years old, but she's still really together, but she's just really old, right? And apparently she has a couple of half sisters.
Oh wow!
So it's kind of a really cool thing, and my mom hasn't met her half sisters for 70 years or 75 years. So they're going to have this reunion when it warms up.
That's really cool.
The weather gets better. Yeah, so that's actually really good. And I'll go meet them, and because I'm my mother's power of attorney, so I will hook up with them. So this ancestry thing can do a lot of good too. Bring people together. It's pretty cool.
I had a great grandmother who has the same name as a rock legend. I think he would trip out over that. I don't know. I've never met him, but he seems
he
pretty
probably
wholesome.
Would. Yeah. Oh, he's really cool guy, man.
I mean, it was set in stone for me to be a fan of your music.
So down to earth. Yeah, he's very down to earth, Alice Cooper.
That's what it seems. So.
Yeah,
but absolutely is.
My mom, Darrell, I told you my mom's Canada, Winnipeg. So,
right.
So she was adopted. And long story short, I did the DNA. And her sister, her biological sister and brother contacted me because of that ancestry DNA. So my mom,
sure.
My mom got to talk to them on the phone and stuff. Because my mom's in like independent living apartments, you know. here.
Oh, that's
I'm in
yeah,
Pennsylvania. I'm not even near Andy either.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's
she's-
But
cool.
yeah, you're right. It's very. And my aunt actually went to school with Mike Reno from Loverboy.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
I was like, what?
yeah.
We've talked to a
Right
few
on.
people that went to
Pretty
school with the
cool.
Poison Boys.
Yeah, they actually. I live in the town where Brett Michaels is from.
Well,
Okay.
all of them but Cece's from Mechanicsburg.
No, Cece's from New York.
Yeah, I said everyone but Cece's
Oh
from
yeah,
Mechanicsburg.
right.
Yeah.
Ricky, I think Ricky went to. Did he go to Cedar Cliff? I think. Can't remember. Yeah, I knew those guys when they were Paris.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. You know, when you know local guys that Kicks knew them. I got to think what they were called before they were Kicks.
You're
So,
an American though. You're American though.
We both are, yeah.
Yeah, my dad's
Who-
my dad's New York. So
Who's the Winnipeg? Who's
My
your
mom.
Winnipeg connection? Your mom. Okay.
my mother, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I have
onto-
a lot of European ancestry. Don't get
but
it
isn't
twisted.
that
but
crazy?
Well, yeah, I do too.
I don't buy
We're
into
Scottish.
the American thing because
I'm
it
a
doesn't
Canadian.
technically exist.
I'm a Canadian Scotsman. I'm Scottish.
Yeah.
I've
We're
got
Scottish
Scott
and
in
English.
me too.
My mom and
Right.
dad both. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Which
tease my
one?
mom because she says a boat.
Cheers to the Scots.
Yes.
We only have a little left.
Yeah. Matey.
A boat. She says a boat.
So,
a
being
boat.
in
Out
the
your boat.
80s and being from
boat
Canada,
cat.
did that kind of separate you guys, though, a little bit from the rest of the groups? Because you weren't from sunny LA, or was that something that maybe set you apart in a way?
Well, yeah, absolutely. For the first two record deals, right? It's like it's really tough for a Canadian band to get down to America and tour and get accepted there. It's always been a grind to leave this
Yeah,
country
it
and get down
has. I
to the
mean,
US. It makes it tougher. But Epic Records saved us from that. And we've scored a major worldwide record deal with a label out of New York City, right? It was a big deal
yeah.
for us. Literally
Well,
the big
Epic,
deal.
I mean,
So
they're one of the biggest. They were one of the
yeah,
biggest record companies in the world at the time. So I mean,
they had Michael Jackson when they signed us.
yeah, they had Michael Jackson. They had Meatloaf. I mean,
Yeah, they had Living Color, band they
yeah,
just signed called Living Color. They had Cheap Trick,
yeah.
Allman Brothers. Man, their roster was insane, man, who they had. It was awesome. Ted Nugent was on Epic. Like, I mean, it was really magical to get signed to that label. All their artists we loved. And so really that kind of saved it. America's been our favorite country to tour in ever since. And we've been touring America the most out of the rest of the world ever since.
Yeah, I mean, you guys still have a very, I mean, you're not like, you're not Bon Jovi big, but you're very well respected within almost like I don't want to discredit your fan base by calling it almost a cult-like fan base, but it's not a mainstream audience either.
No, you're calling it right. You're calling it right. We are like a cult band, the Killer Dwarfs. We've had a great career. We're very well known. We have a great fan base that stuck with us. But if you want to compare record sales, we've sold like around 3 million versus Motley Crue selling 80 million. It puts you in a perspective of cult versus superstardom kind of thing. But I'm really happy with where we're at. I love to be able to walk down the street and not get mobbed by anybody in the paparazzi, this shit. I love the level of success we've achieved. And we're all financially stable. We always have been. We're not drug addicts. We're all smart guys. Everybody lives a great life. We have families and kids. And I've been able to be a career musician.
That's the real rock and roll dream, not being some prima donna diva,
I agree with you. I mean, I just love the fact that I've been able to play music professionally my whole life. How lucky am I? I still pinch myself. I mean, nothing against working, nothing against having day jobs and working in factories and all that stuff.
If anybody had the choice between the two, they'd take your route over the day job route any day of the week.
I just mean I've been lucky enough, right? Yeah, to do something that I really love, right? I mean, that's all. I've been able to make a living playing music. That's like, wow, it's not easy to do. And we've been very lucky as a band to be around for 40 years, and we're having this resurgence of popularity. It's been happening since 2013. We've been touring solid and playing the great venues, M3,
Well, what's really cool for
M3 Festival and Monsters
Yeah.
of Rock cruises and casinos and all these great venues we play on a regular basis. It's amazing.
Well, what's really cool is, in a way, because I'm 30, so I'm a younger fan, obviously. I love
Yeah, you're a
all
kid
the
to
stuff
me,
that
bro.
came out before me.
Yeah, you're literally a kid to me, which is fine.
But there
Good for
was
you.
a lot of, like, because I grew up loving this stuff, loving the 90s stuff, as we discussed earlier, and, you know, just the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, even 1920s jazz, okay?
Great. Good, you're
And
well-rounded.
just being able to have, around 2005, I started becoming aware of bands from Scandinavia,
Yeah.
named Jenna back then, Crash Diet, and quite a few others shortly after started filtering out of younger bands from places like Sweden and Finland and these really cold countries who are playing 80s style metal.
Well,
And
some of them were on the Monsters of Rock cruise.
there you go.
The band Heat, a band called Heat. Do you know
They
them?
are amazing.
They were on the boat and they were really good. I saw them.
I was going to ask you if they're just as good live, because I could tell you right now, their songs are just incredible. I think one of their former singers is with Skid Row now, and
he
I'm
is.
like, Skid Row really lucked out.
I know the kids in Skid Row now. I've saw many videos of them, and but yeah, the guy they got now is great, and they're just a good band. They were a really good band. Everybody loved them on the boat.
They're kind of more AOR, I'd say, but they're really good. They're really talented. They can sing, they can play, they can write really good songs.
Yeah, absolutely. Talented for sure. I enjoyed them.
But I think your resurgence in popularity might have a little bit to do with the fact that there are younger bands now in this modern era making music like that again, you know? And
I
that
know,
probably
and
helped a bit.
I'll tell you, I just discovered, pleasantly surprised. I went to a live show a few weeks ago. It was the Young Guns tour, which is Wolfgang Van Halen, Mammoth, right?
Yeah.
And a band on the bill with them is called Dirty Honey.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, and I had heard of them, never heard their music, and saw them live, and they blew me away. I'm a fan now. I bought all their songs off iTunes. Great stuff. Blues rock, like heavy blues rock, really good.
There was another band when I saw Judas Priest and Deep Purple in 2018. They had a British band on tour with them that they were opening. They were called the Temperance Movement, and they were kind of the same style. But it was the first time in my life I'd been to a heavy metal show like Judas Priest, where the older fans were digging the younger band opening up for the two legends.
Right.
Usually the opening bands get shit on by the audience.
I'll tell you a quick story. I was in a band called Laidlaw for a while when the Killer Dwarves, after the grunge thing. The Killer Dwarves, we went on a hiatus. Like the Dwarfs, Russ and I are basically the Killer Dwarfs. We never break the band up. We never break up, but we do take time off and go do other things.
Yeah.
And after that grunge thing, that was one of the times that we had to kind of go underground and wait it out for a little bit. So I moved to California. And I joined this Southern rock band called Laidlaw, not even anything to do with Flavor of the Month. No Doubt was a big band in California then. And we were like Skinner. These guys are like big biker, Zakk Wylde looking guys. It was a great band. It was a great band. So I recorded 2 records with them, and Nikki Sixx signed the damn band to his label, Americoma Records. And I toured with Motley for 2 years in 1998. 98.
Oh, wow.
I toured with Motley for 2 years when they came back, when they took time off too. And Tommy Lee was in jail and he got out of jail. And then they went on the road and did the Greatest Hits tour. Nicky signed.
They loved the band.
Yeah, he signed our band. He signed our band to his label and threw us on with Motley. And the only reason I'm telling you this story is because we were that exact band, like Temperance Movement. We were a Southern rock band opening for a metal band like Motley, and their fans loved us. We got
Yeah,
encores, dude. We
like
got
I
encores
mean,
opening for Motley in arenas. It was cool.
I thought the temperance movement were great, but I was curious how the audience was going to respond to being a lot of older people sometimes tend to not
Yeah,
like it. I've
yeah,
seen it
sure.
happen so many times. You know, I've seen
Yeah,
Kiss 3 times in my life, and the opener was never treated right unless they were famous.
right.
You know,
Well, it depends on the band sometimes too. Throw them in front of Iron Maiden, they wouldn't have lived even 2 songs.
well, yeah, blues rock with
Maiden,
Iron
Maiden is
Maiden
one of the
maybe not.
heaviest bands to open for. I've opened for Maiden. Their fans are Maiden only and hate everything else. That's
I
pretty much
saw
their
them
fan
with
base.
Motorhead and Dio in 2003, and I don't know, the audience was pretty happy all
Oh,
around that
that, but that's different. You're
time.
talking two amazing opening acts, not new bands. I'm talking about a new band. If it was a newer band opening for Maiden that no one knew, they get eaten
Yeah.
alive. I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, the second time I saw Maiden, his daughter's band with Richie Faulkner was opening for him. So
Oh yeah, that was good. I mean, again, the fans know, right? It's Steve Harris's daughter. Let's be cordial to the family. I saw
well,
that
I
tour.
thought it was funny when I watched him play guitar for Lauren Harris, and when Judas Priest announced the new guitar player, I'm like, I've seen him before.
Yeah, he ends up in Priest. What a producer he is, though. Right? Is he the
He's an
producer? Or
amazing
no, it's
guitarist. I
Sneap.
got nothing
Sorry, I
bad to
got the
say
wrong
about
guy.
that.
I apologize. I'm talking about the wrong guy. Isn't Sneap the producer?
Yeah,
And
Sneap's the
Sneap's
producer. He's
right.
kind of more, I guess he's more of a stand-in that became somewhat of a replacement, but
Right.
Faulkner came in when
For Glenn,
KK was.
right? Was he the replacement for Glenn Tipton or KK? I'm not quite sure how it's working with Priest.
Was the original replacement for KK.
Okay. So
Andy
Sneap is
Sneap
taking
stepped
over
in when
for
Glenn,
Tipton.
yeah,
Yeah. Got his
stepped in on
Parkinson's.
Firepower, which is a good record, but
Yeah.
it's missing something. You know, all I'm going to say is when I heard KK's Priest, I heard what it was missing. In a way.
Right. It's well produced though, man. You got it. That Firepower record's really well produced, though. I have to give them that.
It's honestly one of their best records in a long time. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
There is
No,
a part
absolutely.
that's missing, and that's a certain
Yeah.
person's riffage and style was integral.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I
Because
agree. They're founding members of Screaming for Vengeance and all what made Priest great. Those guys
exactly, and
are
people can say all day
manufacturers of it.
long and complain, but you know what? You get two different bands playing the same kind of style metal that you love. Like when
Right.
Black Sabbath hit the 80s and after Dio left, even with Born Again, why complain? You got Ozzy doing great stuff, you got Dio doing great stuff, and you got a new song.
Yeah,
You know,
I
that's how
agree.
I
I
always
agree.
felt about it.
I agree with you in a way there, though. The more the merrier, as long as there's no squabbling and lawsuits, and more the merrier.
Yeah, like I mean, there's always going to be some kind of bad blood, but I mean, look past that. Just appreciate the music for what it is. You don't have to take sides.
I agree. I agree. I agree 100%.
What are some of the craziest stories you've had? Because you mentioned opening up for Iron Maiden and stuff like that. What's some crazy stories that you can kind of elaborate on without giving too much of your book away? Because I really am going to look for and grab a copy as soon as I can. But
Yeah,
what's
the
some of
book.
the crazy things that happened? You know,
Like I
rock
said,
drummer.
a lot of it is in the book, so I won't get too into it. But I mean, think about it, Andy. We've been around 40 years, okay? So there's so many stories and so much happened in the early days versus recently versus the last decades, right? So it's kind of hard to pinpoint different stories. Like I said, that's why writing a book is so cool, because I could take my time and over a year and think about the stories and think about what ones would translate well in a book and what ones might not. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
yeah, so you know, off the top of my head, speaking of the book, I just get this out of the way because we have to wrap this up pretty soon.
And that's fine.
The book is available at Amazon worldwide. There's only
Awesome.
two places there's only two places you can get it. Amazon's very easy, okay, but I have my own shop, and it's solely for the fans, and it's called dunkspirateshop.com, DUNKS, dunkspirateshop.com, and the book is there, and I autograph and personalize it from that site, and it's
Awesome.
free shipping. And it's free shipping there. I just want to get that out of the way. So you have the two choices.
Absolutely.
If you really want the autograph, man, go to the pirate shop. But Amazon treats me very fair financially and all that too. So don't worry about, that they're going to make all the money. So go to my site. No, I have a good deal with everybody. So I'm happy with that. One of the stories in the book is the most famous is the Iron Maiden story when I end up naked on the stage of the Hammersmith Odeon, which has never happened before to anybody that I know of. But
I
we
haven't
did this
heard it
last night.
before. That's a new one to me, and I know the
Yeah.
Hammersmith Odeon pretty well because of the stories.
It's insane. Like all it was a last night prank that was a fail army. It just went wrong. We were doing the last night pranks of the tour. It was all for fun. And it's a famous story. Most fans know it. I've said it in many interviews. So it's in the book in detail how it all went down. But Cole's notes, just to you right now, all it was we decided that I would run out and disrupt the show. And I had boots on because they didn't like my cowboy boots. I had the 80s zebra stripe cowboy boots. And the Maiden boys are soccer guys and sports kind of, they wear running shoes. They didn't like my they didn't like my rock wear, like, not that they didn't like it. They used to just laugh at me. So in Die With Your Boots On, Russ and I came up with the idea to wear the boots with nothing else except bikini underwear, right? And some suspenders, some Mickey Mouse suspenders that would hold the underwear on in case it was a malfunction, right? And then I wore a skull mask. And so when they played the track Die With Your Boots On, I ran out with two cocktails in my hand and came into their stage and climbed up on the top of their ice mountain and was dancing up there. And there's video of it. It's actually on YouTube. And Steve Harris was laughing his head off. He thought it was the funniest thing ever, but Bruce didn't. Bruce didn't think it was the funniest thing ever. He looked like a little pissed off. So when I tried to do exit stage left, Bruce ran at me and got me by the back, by the gotch. And sure enough, he got me by the gotch, and I was running, and it was like a Three Stooges thing. It was like, whoop, 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 and my feet were spinning, and the suspender snapped, the gotch came off, and there it was, man. I was like naked in front of all these guys. Most of their audience is guys at the Hammersmith Odeon. It wasn't my finest moment, bro. It was like, what the fuck? I was like, oh no. And I threw a can of Heineken at Bruce. Actually, I had a stubby can, and it missed him by that much. And I'm kind of glad it did because he probably would have beat the fuck out of me, right?
Yeah, he knows fencing and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like now he would laugh about this story.
Yeah, it's all fun now. It's all funny, right? But yeah, but it's a notorious thing that happened in the history of rock, and there is a clip of it on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you type in Killer Dwarfs Last Night Pranks Iron Maiden, that's all you got to do, and a video will come up of the whole thing. And I actually say that in my book, and everybody that's read my book goes to the YouTube to watch it, and they love it. They love it because they're laughing about it in the book, and then they actually take the time to go on their phone and go watch it. It's kind of neat.
Because it's different to read about it than to actually be able to see it.
I know, and it's not even my site.
It puts all the context together.
It puts it all together, man. It's so cool. And I don't own the video or the site. I'm not sure
what
who
year
put it
was
up
this
there.
for Maiden? Just out of curiosity.
1988. It was the Seventh Sun tour. Yeah.
What was it like playing around the Glacier Eddy? I mean, I know Guns N' Roses talked about that because they were more of a rock and roll band, and I guess you guys were probably more on that vein too.
Well,
Was
we
it
were
hard to maneuver around the stage, or was it fun?
no. It's funny you mentioned Guns N' Roses because they did a big chunk of that tour too.
Yeah.
They did a lot of the American dates. We did some East Coast American dates with Maiden that Ace Frehley fell ill or something and left the tour.
Oh,
He
Ace
was on it
Frehley was
too.
on that tour
Yeah,
too?
Ace Frehley was on the
I
East
didn't
Coast
know
dates.
that.
Yeah, not as many as Guns N' Roses, but he was doing 25 shows or something, and he bailed off it. And
Was
we
he
got
touring
lucky.
the second Comet record, or was it Trouble Walking?
I don't really know because I didn't see him on the tour. I just know because of him we got the dates because Andy Waters, our agent, was working with Ace too, and
Oh,
he threw us
gotcha.
on,
Okay.
and that's how it all happened for us because we did 3 shows and we did Florida and Hampton, Virginia or something, like a couple of shows with Maiden there, and then Steve Harris loved the band and he brought us to England, to the UK
That's awesome.
to do the whole tour of the UK. It was incredible. So that's how all that happened, man. And we've been friends with Maiden ever since.
That's
Been like
probably
great.
part of the reason why you're still here, though. I mean, if Maiden takes you under their wing as a band of your stature, that gives you a lot of cred to stand on as far as, the hardcore metal guys can be like, okay, it's cool to like them.
You're right. You're right. It helped us immensely. Working with Andy Johns helped us immensely.
People don't realize how much something stupid like that can affect a band's, not just career at the time, but longevity. Their credibility is everything.
Well, I'll tell you right now, people are still talking about that tour. I still see guys that come on Facebook here and they're going, I was at Wembley and saw the Dwarfs open for Maiden. I mean, everybody's older now. You got to think our fan base is up in their 50s now and stuff that were at those shows. All of us, our fan base is older, but they're still rockers and they're still buying records.
And you're appealing to younger
still
people
going to
too.
Concerts. Yeah, they're still going to
Look
concerts. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at up there in the corner?
He's watching the video.
Oh, she's watching it. See? There you go. Yeah, you see me naked, huh? I mean, it's funny. It doesn't show everything in that video, but when I roll over there, you see my butt and all that. It's crazy. That's funny, isn't it?
Well, since we're
That's
wrapping
good, clean
it up,
fun. Yeah.
What you okay? Well, you mentioned the tour, so what else do you have going on in the near future that you can talk about?
She's not going to get over that video. You got to watch it off air. Okay, well, here's what happened. COVID was a rough go. We've only done 4 shows in 2.5 years, Andy. That's how hard it's been. And two of the shows have been on the Monsters of Rock cruise. So think about that. We only did 2 other shows previous to that. One was in Whitehorse, which was a festival, and the other one was in Manitoulin Island, Northern Ontario here, festival, 2 of them. And that's it. That's all we were allowed to do, basically.
That's crazy.
So our management right now is scrambling and actually super busy booking dates for the band right now. So we plan on doing the most shows we've done in quite a long time, maybe as much as 35 dates in USA and Canada right now. Yeah, and a lot of them are booked. A lot of them I can't talk about yet because that's just a taboo thing with the promoters. But there's a Minnesota, there's a Minnesota festival happening that's booked already with Jackal and a bunch of bands, and that happens in September. There's a Saskatoon, Canada festival booked in August with a whole bunch of Canadian bands, really good, cool thing in Saskatoon. And there's 2. And then there is, what can I talk about? Well, I can't really say the other dates, but I will say there's Texas on the map there, and there's a lot of East Coast action in the US. Oh, and there's another festival in Philly booked called Masquerade with Autograph and a bunch of other bands. That's in when is that? That's in July, end of July. Philadelphia, end of July. So we're getting there. It's slowly filling in all the areas, getting close to you.
I can't wait, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're just like, can't wait. You know what I mean? And then we're going to play 5 or 6 big cities in Canada. And there's some festivals in Ontario here I can't talk about yet that are happening. So it's all going to be released by the end of June, I'd say. There'll be a big push and a big thing. Killer Dwarves on tour. Boom. You'll see it.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. I talked about as much as I
I'm
could.
pretty close to Philly, so keep me posted on that one.
Okay, look into the Masquerade Festival, it's called. There's a bunch of cool bands, Bite and Resist, or Resist and Bite, is it? New bands. There's some new bands on that.
Yeah,
Resist and Bite. Who else is on that Masquerade? I know Autograph, but their bass player, Randy Rand just died, which is very sad.
I wanted to ask you what you thought of that.
He was a friend. Very sad about it.
Yes, I know. That's why.
It's very new. It's very new. It just happened. We're all processing it right now. But we're good friends. We're good friends with Autograph. They've played several shows with us before, and we were about to play with them again in July.
That's what I'm
not sure what they're going to do, because Randy Rand was really the only original member left in that band.
So, do you have a favorite memory of his that you want to talk about real quick before?
Well, one that comes to mind is we were in Miami on the Monsters of Rock, and he came up to me at the bar, and we were chatting and everything, and he reached and grabbed my beer and just started drinking it like it was his beer. And I said, "Hey," and he said, "What?" He's drinking my beer. I said, "I guess I'll just order another one." He thought it was his beer. It was mine. It was a full beer, my beer. I was drinking it. God bless him. That's one way to get free beers. You just walk up to your buddy and take his, drink it, right? But yeah, he was a great guy. That's just a story that I've been laughing about lately, thinking about him. But yeah, it's tragic, you know. I mean, that's one thing about age here that's starting to freak us all out, because we're all
naturally,
like, right? It's just
the
that's
mortality
all it is.
Factor kicks in.
Right. That's really all it is, Andy, because death's always been there. Everybody's been dying all around us our whole lives. But when you turn around 60 years old, like I am, and Russ, all of a sudden you're in an age group, guys that partied a little too hard are dying at our age, right?
Yeah.
They're doing the blow and the heroin and doing all the drugs when they're in 20 and 30 and 40. Your body dies early. It gives out. And if you're an alcoholic your whole life, you'll die young. You're not going to live till you're 80, 90 like my mom. You're going to kick it around this age, 55 to 70. You'll be dead for sure if you abused alcohol and drugs your whole career.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just and that's all that's starting to smack us all in the head, right? And then cancer's the other scourge. I mean, killed Eddie Van Halen, and I mean, like, come on, man, cancer's killing more people than drugs these days.
Yeah,
it's kind of freaking
it really is.
Yeah, they should do something about that. Not this vaccine and all this shit for COVID. Find a fucking vaccine for cancer. Do something about it.
They got it, but cancer's $1 billion industry. So
I know that story. You're right. I know the pharmaceutical companies are. I don't think they can afford to find a cure for cancer.
No, they can't.
which is very sad. Which is bullshit. Very sad.
Extremely.
But
well, you know, and also back then, you know, everybody was smoking cigarettes, and Eddie smoked cigarette after, and he never tried to quit. Never.
No, I know. Apparently that aided in his tongue cancer. I know he said it was from a pick he used to chew all the time, a nickel pick that he had. But I mean, cigarettes were a huge part of it. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely.
Because I think Wolfie chews, if I'm not mistaken. I believe
he smokes?
No, he chews.
Oh, he chews the pick thing? Oh, wow.
Tobacco.
Oh, tobacco. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, we're going to have our vices. What are you going to do? You got to live. But yeah, it's something.
I might be wrong about that, but I thought.
At least it's not meth.
Hey, he's a good kid.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah.
At least it's not meth.
What a great band. I really, right. At least it's not meth. I really enjoyed Mammoth. They're a great band. Kid's a great songwriter, great singer. Both those bands were just killer live. They really were great live bands. Gave me a whole new faith in upcoming young rock and roll. Gave me a whole new faith in it. Really cool.
And Wolfie's very humble too. You know, I've heard him on a lot of different interviews, and he's just he's just kind of like, you know, a normal kid. They never raised him to be. No,
he's not a little
Hollywood brat.
He's not your average little rock and roll brat. I think his mom is actually a good mom, right?
Yeah.
not that Eddie wasn't a good dad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I
Right.
think Valerie has kept him pretty grounded, and she's
Yeah.
probably pretty grounded herself. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're good people,
Well,
obviously.
He's got
Very good
one
people.
more
you're
question
raising your
for you.
daughter well too. I know. I
Thank you.
see.
We
see
are
your
doing quite a
picture.
good job with her. Yeah, she plays
Yeah.
hockey, plays
Mhm.
drums, keyboards. I try to keep her very busy and keep her mentally motivated. She's doing good in school. She's a good kid. Yeah, thanks. We
Yeah.
try.
You do.
We try the best we
And
can.
isn't she a little budding actress as well?
Yes, she had her first debut on Working Moms, the show
Yeah, I
Working
love
Moms.
that show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
doing some background stuff because her mom's in the film industry. Her mom does hair in the film industry, so her mom's on that Working Moms thing. So she
Oh,
just
I
slid
love
her
that
in
show.
on background. Yeah, it's a good show. I like it
Oh
too.
yeah, my daughter and I just think it like we watch that whenever because we have Netflix, so we get like the
Yeah.
season before or the season. So you guys are usually a season ahead of us, so we get
Yeah,
it.
right. Right, because it's filmed
Yeah.
up here. It's filming.
Yeah,
What's
I
your
love
last
it.
question, Andy? What's your last question? I got to get going here.
At the
Yeah.
end of the day, what is it that you love about music?
What I love about music the most is the freedom of expression and creativity that it takes to write great songs, and just what it's done for me mentally and physically. Like, I mean, drums as an instrument is I play guitar too and I sing and all that, but drumming has been a catalyst for my health, actually, to tell you the truth. Drumming is like sports, and it's
Yeah.
forced me to work out, stay in shape, and be 60 years old and be able to play drums like I do at the level that I play at. I mean, my mentors are Tommy Aldridge and guys like that. They're 70
God
years
damn.
old. You know, like Tommy Aldridge is a monster, man. He's an
He
amazing
is.
drummer. He still is, though, at his age.
Yeah.
So I'm looking towards these guys, and I'm hoping I can maintain my physical strength and status and rock for another decade. That is my plan. I mean, I am working hard at it, actually, physically, to do that. So music has saved me in many ways, mentally, physically, and I've just been very blessed and fortunate to be able to play music full time and make a living. And you know, that's all I can say about it. It's my life many times. Music, many times.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, that pretty much wraps it up. Make sure you grab this book. Once again, that was Darrell Millar from the Killer Dwarves, Rock and Roll Nurse, and Andi Thunders. I'll put the links in the description where people can grab your book, the Amazon link, and the Dunks Pirate one.
Shop.com. Yeah.
Pirate Shop.
Thanks,
All
buddy.
right.
Yeah, dunkspirateshop.com. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. And
No
great
problem.
talking
I
to you
enjoyed
too.
it very much, and I hope to see you on the road.
I love
If I'm
your
at
hat,
a show,
man.
I'll let you know.
I love your hat. I love your hat. It's cool.
Thank you. If I come see you, I'll get a photo with you in it, and I'll have you sign it too.
100%. You will come and see us. Let's stay in touch. I know we'll be playing the Buffalo area. I know for a fact.
I'll have the nurse give me.
If
your
anything, it'll only be a few
then.
miles. Yeah, absolutely. It'll be. You can drive 10 miles, can't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee you we'll be playing within a 10-mile radius of you each year. Okay. That's all I can say. Guaranteed.
I look forward to it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.
No problem. I'll see you guys. Bye, our nurse.